Hello, fabulous Sagittarius. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of June 2014 General Focus. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. Well, the big news this month, really the most important news for you when we're looking at it from a monthly perspective, okay, is the fact that you've got a full moon happening in your sign right in the middle of the month. And so that doesn't mean that that's all that's happening, but as you know, friends and fans, regular watchers of this, of me sharing my astrological insights know that I like to, for the monthly videos, really focus on the one thing or sometimes the two things that I think are really going to be those moments that you look back on when you look back at the month and say, wow, that was a really standout time for me. And so for you, that is going to be this full moon that is happening in the middle of the month. And this full moon is going to speak to just about every area of your life. And I do think that you can expect a major shift to take place within you. And it's almost as if I'm seeing your priorities get reorganized in a significant way. One of the big lessons that I think we are here to learn as people, as human beings, I think every area of the sky is there to help us to learn some of these higher spiritual lessons that we're here to learn. And when I look at what's playing out for you, I think it's such an important time because one of the big lessons that is happening for you right now is that your happiness matters. And your happiness is your responsibility. And that's what I see shifting for you in the most significant way. Right in the middle of the month, you've got this full moon taking place, certainly a standout moment for this month, if not the whole year. And full moons in your sign tend to denote a moment of truth for you. It's the undeniable truth in the light of the full moon. It's you getting really honest with yourself about your circumstances, about your life, about what you have believed about yourself, what you have identified with that has led you to this very moment in your life. And with that full appreciation, and oftentimes it is the thing that's been so obvious, that's been staring you in the face, but you haven't wanted to look at. With that full appreciation, you are then able to take that and run with it, go forward with it. You come to an understanding as to what it is that has served its purpose in your life in matters very close to the heart. Now, you add an element to this of the fact that Uranus is being positively spoken to by this full moon, and it does suggest to me that there's an element of surprise here. There's an element of being freed from baggage. There's an element of seeing so clearly and literally feeling not only the lights being turned on a level of mind, but on a level of energy as well, where all of a sudden you may feel washed from that which is no longer serving you. All of a sudden you realize with full clarity what it is that has been and what has led you to this moment. I'd also invite you to think back to what was taking place in your life 6 months ago, because 6 months ago you would have had a new moon in your sign. And with that new moon likely came insights into what it is you'd like to manifest, what it is that you'd like to begin. And with that understanding, you've now been building from that point forward. Now comes your moment of fruition. Now comes a moment of culmination. What was started 6 months ago now will reach one of its most important conclusions. That doesn't mean that that's it and that's over. What it does mean is that you start to understand much more deeply, much more closely as to what it was that you actually started. Because I do think that you might have thought it was one thing, but now 6 months later, you realize that it actually was something else. What you started off then has morphed and grown and become something that is more honest, and you're about to recognize that. And with that recognition, you are able to understand what has served its purpose in your life. But ultimately, really for you in particular, with this new moon and this conversation it's having with Uranus and the part of the sky that has to do with happiness, it really comes down to you saying, this is no longer making me happy, and so I'm letting go. I'm leaving this behind. Very likely related to a dynamic, which I'll talk more about in the love horoscope, but I think a lot of you out there are going to find this playing out in many different areas of life. And actually, I do think that this is going to be a moment that ends up being really important when you go forward. And when I look at what starts happening for you next year, in the year 2015, when Saturn starts moving back and forth between your sign and Scorpio before settling into your sign in 2016, when I consider this fact, it does suggest to me that this is the time for the clarity to come. This is the time for a sense of fruition, a sense of lightness, a sense that I know myself differently now, because it is an element of your identity that is likely to shift now, where you say to yourself, this is not who I am anymore, and that's actually who I am, and so I'm going to go in that direction. I'm going to demonstrate that direction. And you saying, I'm going for it, and actually doing it, actually backing it up with action. So now is the time when a lot of the inspiration, the belief, the faith really takes root. This understanding that your happiness matters really takes root. Then once we get you towards the very, very end of this year and into next year, as I'll talk about in the Saturn specials, once that's up a couple of months down the road, a few months down the road, once those Saturn specials are up, I'll be talking about more the fact that Saturn in your sign has to do with understanding that you are responsible for your happiness, and whatever effort you need to take, whatever you need to demonstrate, it's only you that's going to do it. It's only you that's going to move yourself in that direction. And I think that this moment will provide you with some very important seeds, some very important insights, some very important understandings from which you will draw on now and for many years to come to inform just what it is that you're going for, what feeling you're going for, and just what happiness is going to be for you. Thank you for watching. It'll be a great month. Be fabulous and enjoy.